Hello, and welcome to the No Faces Comic Chat. I'm your host, Bub, and with me, as always, the one, the only, if his bags are wrinkled, he don't want to hear you complaining, Metarog.
Hey, great to be back here for the new year, but the same old crew.
That's right. Oldies but goodies, and some of us are just goodies and extra moldy. We've got DS Comics. Hey, welcome, DS.
What's up? Good to be here. Happy 2022 to everyone.
Happy 2022 to you too. And with us in the chat, hanging out, tailgating as always, we got Las Cruces 1971 with Christina Payne jumping in as well. Brett Bottomley says, "Hey, where's my $20?" I gotta tell you, what I don't know what's going on here. I have no idea. All right, and then also we've got Ben Compton's in the house. Welcome. And Vancouver. Listen at me. The Vancouver Comic Junkie is here as well, and Chep is here. Thank you so much. You two, you guys just are too kind to us. We're spanning the globe tonight on the No Faces Comic Chat. How are you two doing this fine evening? DS, we'll start with you.
I am doing great. Comic wise, just there's a lot of auctions going on this week, tonight, yesterday, so it's just an overwhelming number of books flying around in the hobby. And other than that, it's been really cold here. We have first snowstorm, so the weather's been a little miserable, and comics have been good, and that's it.
Yeah, that is true. Miserable weather, great comics. Roger, how are you doing?
I'm blessed, man. I'm doing great. Weather's been actually pretty good around here. Was in the 70s yesterday, and no complaints really. Got some good AOKs this week. The previous week finished the quest, so comic wise, I'm doing great.
Fantastic. I'm loving it. I see some interesting stuff already going on your side. All right. Yeah, things for me are going well. 2022 started off already. So it's all good. Honestly, I'm looking forward to this year. I think it's going to be a good one, and I'm trying to get lots of comic play dates going. So I like to be doing a lot of buying a little less online and a little more in person. So that's kind of my goal. Even though I buy a lot online anyway, that won't stop. So let me rephrase this. I'm looking to buy just as much as I do online, only also to buy even more in person. What do you guys think about that?
I think it's a fabulous plan.
Yeah.
Good deal. That rolls into our first topic of the evening. Of course, we have our main topic, but first I want to talk about a little bit of current events. We've had a few things happen since we've been away, one of which is the new taxation without representation clauses that's going to be going into effect for 2022. I was just wondering if you guys had any general comments on the matter, and if so, now would be your time to share them. Start with you, DS.
Yeah, so they changed the rule for this. Relates to what they call gig workers, which are people who just either sell some stuff on Etsy or eBay, or maybe like Uber drivers, things like that, where it's usually mostly people just doing it for extra cash, or they're just trying to sell some old stuff and they're not even like professional resellers of anything. But they dropped the threshold from $20,000 a year to $600 a year. And all it means is that if you do $600 or more of sales on eBay or Etsy, or you receive that through your Uber or whatever, that company you did the $600 through will send you a 1099. The intention is that you've always had to claim this stuff as taxes, but it goes under the radar if it's not being reported. The government doesn't know you're making it, really. So with a 1099, it basically got reported to the government. So they're expecting to hear you reported on your taxes. So people are freaking out. But you get a 1099 and you just add that to your when you do your taxes. Most people's taxes, if you have a W-2 from work, you put that in, and they ask you anything else, you put your 1099 stuff in, and it is what it is. my advice to people in the comic hobby is you don't have to get an accountant. You don't have to freak out. Just make sure you're disclosing everything, just full disclosure on your taxes, like how much you made. Just get a notebook to wit and write down everything coming in and everything going out, and just make sure you account for everything, put down how much you made overall, and put that down on your taxes. And then I think you're good. If you get audited, the worst case scenario is you owe money. So in order to avoid that, just disclose everything. If you spend 10 grand on comics and you sell 15 grand on comics, that's $5,000. Just put down you made $5,000. You get audited, you can back that up. If the more serious and professional you are as a seller, the more detail and the more structured it will have to be. But my advice is just fully disclose it, and then you should be all right. But yeah, 20,000 to 600, that's kind of ridiculous.
That's a huge jump.
Yeah,
I would have thought they'd have done some increments there to ease people into it, but nope.
I mean, I got one last year from eBay because I did over 20 grand. And I was, it can be unsettling to get 1099s with big numbers on it. But, ultimately I didn't really owe that much. But you put in how much you spent minus your expenses and then what you made. So, but yeah, 20,000 down to 600. 600 would be like somebody found a couple old bikes in an attic or something, and they sell them on eBay, and all of a sudden they get 1099. That doesn't sound right to me.
I agree. Roger, what do you think on the topic? Do you have any thoughts, mulling and a crawling inside your cranium?
Well, I think DS covered that really well. This was a law which we knew was coming in effect about a year and a half ago, if I remember correctly. It is just really a reporting difference, because like DS said, we're supposed to declare that anyway, and that doesn't really affect me. I don't really sell much, so I doubt I've sold $500 in the past 3 years, so it doesn't affect me personally. I mean, again, it's if you're responsible anyway, it doesn't really affect you. The only problem is that now you have to keep records if you do sell to a certain degree, and that can be a little bit, the red tape can be a little bit stressful, etc. But otherwise, we're supposed to do it. The only thing is now we're going to get, we're going to have these different social media and marketing places that are going to send us, like DS said, those 1099s, and which in a sense makes it easier. We don't have to track as much, but if you are, you have to make sure that you are, maybe you don't need an accountant, but you have to realize how much you spent for something, how much you sold, so that you can see profit margins, things like that, because there may be other deductions you can take from that. But it is a little bit more complicated. But to me, it doesn't affect me. But I mean, I know that it's going to be a little bit of a learning experience the first year or so. Yeah, 20,600, that's ridiculous. They should have had some kind of increment in there for us to sort of get used to it. But it's the government. What can you say?
Yeah, I agree. I think it was a little too quick. They ramped it up too fast, too hard, and that's why they have sticker shock. And I look at it pretty simply. If you're someone who's just in the hobby and you are trading around and doing kind of normal stuff, that's fine. But the minute you have any kind of sales event, I think you should be more careful. So even if all you're doing is an IG sale and you're like, that's it, I'm going to be posting 200 books over the next 2 days, claim sale and all this stuff. If you're going to be doing that, then that is income. And just like anything else, you should be expecting that you're going to have to pay Uncle Sam his cut for the income. And that's it, and if your income doesn't exceed your, in this case, your basis, but what you've paid for that stuff, then you took a loss, then okay. But if you're making money and your goal is to make money, then you should expect to have to pay some taxes. So just keep good records. And like DS said, at least keep some records, something. It's nice because, if you bought something on eBay, you have a record of that. eBay keeps a relatively good record of it, not going back too far, but you can make up the difference and, print it out, if you will. Keep your receipts. And if you bought something, at a comic shop, they give you a receipt. Hold on to that. If you bought something at any online retailer, you get a receipt for that. So, I mean, just hold on to your receipts. You know, I mean, we buy a lot of books, that's for sure. But if we have room to store these, you know, how many books you got now, Roger? 47,000?
No, about a shade over 11,000, I do believe.
All right. If you got room for 11,000 books, you got room for a folder full of receipts for this year. You know, that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, like I said, I don't sell enough to warrant that, so I don't keep. But if I did, you know, what I do, you know, as a job, I have to keep receipts and I have to keep track of invoices and taxes. I'm on a monthly basis, so that's no big deal for me. But yeah, I don't have to do that because I don't sell enough. You know, I might sell like one auction a year or something. That's about it.
Yeah, and if you're selling like anything you buy or sell online, you get emailed something, you can print that out. But honestly, for online stuff, I don't print all those out because you can always go back and get them if you need them. Right. But I keep a notebook, and every time I buy something, I write down the date and what I bought and how much it was. And every time I sell something, I write down the date and what it was and how much I got for it. And then 99.9% of all my stuff is through PayPal or on an auction or something like that, or through my bank account. So, you know, if I have to go back and refer to it, like, you know, April 7th, I paid this much for a book off Heritage. I can go on my Heritage account and look up that book and see how much I paid and match it up to my bank account statement from that time. And yeah, so receipts are almost sort of a thing in the past, but if you're buying in person, like in an LCS or something, I would keep those receipts. But I would also write them down. I write everything down in the notebook, including when I ship something, how much I spent at the post office and where it came from. And yeah, but you're going to get a 1099 from PayPal. You're going to get a 1099 from eBay if you sell something on either of those or the money comes in. This is why PayPal's cracking down on friends and family, because the friends and family stuff doesn't count because it's not considered any type of income for goods or services. And it's actually, I think it actually falls into the tax evasion category. If you are selling stuff and doing friends and family to avoid the fee, you're actually doing it also to avoid the 1099 reporting. And now that's tax evasion. If you're doing more than
I agree completely.
Yeah, that'd be fraud for sure. Yeah.
So yeah, nobody wants to get locked out and kicked off PayPal, but the last thing you want is a letter from the IRS saying, hey, you're doing tax evasion, and then you can be criminally charged. That's a serious matter. So just keep track of it. And, you know, most people are not going to have to owe anything. You just report what's on your 1099 and you're good to go. Like, you don't have to worry about it. You're not going to owe like a crap ton of money, most likely, unless you're like a serious reseller, and then you're used to it anyway. So you don't need to freak out. Just keep, you know, I have a notebook here, and I'll show you here without going into details. Yeah, so I have my monthly stamps.com and GPA, so I can just multiply that by 12. I don't need to write that down every month. But then this is my 2021. And I do a fair amount, but it's not that much, you know? Yeah. You know, it's just like not really that much. That's my 2021. And so you guys know how much I sell. This is what a whole year is. So now I'm on to the second year, and I've got this much paper left. So yeah, it's not that hard.
No, I agree.
Pen and paper, and there you go.
I agree. I think most of the people crying about it are just crying for the ease that once was. And like in everything else, if you're going to make money, it's going to get complicated as the years go on. So there's only a few people.
Yeah. It's not going to get easier. That's for sure.
Right.
But also the federal government sucks, and I hate them.
Well, there we go. Is that a spiral notebook? Look, Highly is in shock you didn't go with the marble notebook, the old tried and true. So
it's a spiral notebook, and you know, I have a college ruled one, but the lines are too small for me with my big fat fingers, so I had to get like the elementary school version with the big.
You gotta get the wide rules.
Yeah, I love it.
But I bought the 3-pack, so and I have one. This is notes. So I put a piece of tape on there. Yeah, man, old school. This is the way to do it, man. And this one,
I really like how you use painter's tape That way, in case you want to give up on notes and rip the first 20 pages out, you can change the title of the book.
Yes, and this is like a plastic vinyl cover too, which is why I bought it, so that I could put tape on it and the tape will come off without tearing it. I definitely don't want a tape pull on my notebooks, you know.
I tell you, his DS's frugality knows no depths.
That's true. It was a 3-pack. I bought a 3-pack at Walmart, and yeah, good stuff.
Oh man. All right. Well, thanks guys for your take on that. I just wanted to know what your thoughts were. We'll be doing a little bit of a hot take question each week going forward if I think of one. I don't want to put too much work on myself. Yeah. All right. So the rest of the tonight, does anyone remember what the topic is for this evening? Anybody at all?
Me?
Yeah, go ahead, DS.
The infamous floppy disks.
That is so close and yet so far.
I thought I had it.
All right, what do you got, Roger?
Yeah, hold on. It was the frugal first editions.
Very good. You're right. You're not right. You knew you weren't right. We are the.
I was.
No, you're not. We are the. Shoot. First.
Oh shoot! What kind of title is that?
You can tell how much.
I got it. We're the famous first floppies. There you go. And not all at once.
Floppy.
Yeah, you liked it?
Yeah, sorry.
You guys stink. All right.
I think
our topic then is first comics, first issues, if you will. And so take it away. Well, Roger seems to have some real interesting stuff up there. So take it away, Roger. With the double bait and switch. Didn't see that one coming, did you, brother?
No, I said that's DS for sure. Oh well.
Doesn't you think I'm gonna zig? I zag.
Well, you're as unpredictable as a comet. It's, anyway, all right.
Go ahead, Roger. Finish your thought. I wanted to hear the rest of that.
Well, like when a comet collides with some other astral bodies, you don't know where things are going to go. That's you. Yeah. Anyway.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I guess so. There was a time, guys. You know this, but maybe not everybody knows that first issues were not necessarily ones that publishers wanted to put out there if they could avoid it. And there are various reasons for that. It used to be that an established title would sell more than a new title coming out. So, but now, of course, things have turned on their head, and there's a new, I think every year pretty much now titles, restart, or not all of them, but a lot of them do. But anyway, but in the old days, they were pretty good about doing that. However, every once in a while you get a special, like this thing here. I'm not sure why this thing exists, honestly. This Superheroes Battle Super Gorillas. It's all reprints. It's not part of any other series. I'm thinking that somebody in DC said, "Hey, if we put a gorilla on the cover, it's going to sell, and let's sell it for 50 cents instead of what 25 cents with comics were going." Of course, there's a lot more stories in there than that, and let's call it Winter. And that's the only issue that ever came out, by the way. So
wow.
That's why I put this one up there, because it's just bizarre that it even exists, So that's one.
I've never seen that before.
Huh?
Yeah, well, yeah. Trust me.
I can't find my copy.
There's not. Yeah, you have one. I know you have one. Yeah. Now this one here, this is interesting. This was sent to me by poor Mike as an AOK sometime back, and we at least I do. When we were younger, we idolized superheroes. This is obviously a takeoff on Superman and his origin, but the hero here is actually the normal guy, normal man, and he comes into all these misadventures with all kinds of parodies and lampoons and things like that. But this is also an issue number 1, as you can see up here. My internet is not the best today, but I think you can see that.
Yeah, it looks good.
Hold on. Yeah, it looks good. Hold on. I found a tool to sharpen it up. Here it is with the Comic Mag Musings requested the 2 famous floppies. They're terrible. They're terrible, Bill. Terrible, Bill. All right. I don't want to. I can't find the button to turn it off. Somehow the button to turn it on is bigger. Where's the? Oh well. All right. I can't find it. I can't find the half, so he's just gonna have to take 4 for the price of 3. You can't find it.
There. Huh.
All right, we're good. Thank you, Bill. Appreciate you keeping the lights on over here, keeping the blue tape rolling. Thank you, good sir. Yeah, Jackson Roy Kirk says because gorillas, Roger. That's why it exists.
Yeah, I mean it has to be, right? It has to be. It's just that at the time it was just bizarre. All reprints, and it's the stories of those wacky Silver Rangers. Anyway, okay, I'll keep going here. A couple more. Here's one I bet you DS knows a lot about. EC post right. This is right where this is. Although this is pre-code, this is right when they were about to, they got the notification that they had to change their horror and crime and all those kinds of very over-the-top kind of covers and stories. So they started with a couple titles like Piracy.
I'm saying good. They're good books. They're good titles. They had to change all of them.
Oh yeah, correct. Right. All their good selling titles. So, but they tried to still exist, as a publisher. So they did like MD and they did Piracy and all kinds of more generic titles, for lack of a better term. And this is MD number 1 here from EC. I believe this is 54, 55, somewhere in there. It's got a little bit of some writing here, which I think is a receiving stamp, receiving date, I should say. This is a really cool one that I got as an AOK. Let me put it over here so you can see it, because the glare here is like rough.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, I got that as an AOK from Big White Dog, BWD. And this is Warfront number 1. War is Hell. And it's really interesting cover and also stories inside. They're supposedly true war exposés, but I don't know if that's the case. How those can be a little bit, exaggerated, hyperbole there. But I thought that this is interesting when you see this soldier carrying this one, an injured one, obviously, trying to make his way through this village, which is obviously being occupied by a Korean, the enemy here at this point. And you have, explosions, you got jets in the background, you got some machine gun fire here. And this poor fella here taking a bullet right above the heart, looks like to me.
My goodness.
It's not, yeah, it's
usually those are the stories in those Atom Age war books. Usually they will have a couple stories inside, and at least one of them is based around an actual battle that occurred, although they sort of make up their own characters in the battle. And then sometimes they will have a story based around the exploits of a real soldier or a real officer. And sometimes going so far as to almost be like documentary style. But mostly it's a fictional adaptation of something. It's loosely based on something that really happened, but then they sort of run with it. So they're fun to read, actually. They're very exciting and tend to be quite gruesome inside. I don't know if they thought they were pulling a fast one on the Comics Code Authority thing, because they threw a lot of heavy violence and gore inside those sometimes. But yeah, it's a good book.
Yeah. It doesn't have that much. I wouldn't say gore per se, but it does have a lot of violence, shooting, and explosions. You don't see limbs or things like that.
No,
but,
a lot of it's
yeah,
implied. I mean, you've got bullets, people being shot and stabbed with bayonets sometimes, and a lot of people on fire.
I mean, this leaves little to the imagination. This guy is dead. And this guy, if you notice the hand here, there's blood dripping, so obviously he's been shot or something at some point. Anyway,
yeah, it's pretty gruesome.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's not like over the top gruesome, but it's some kind of gore. This is a cool one sent to me by Lady Fantastic in a contest that I won. Sword and Sorcery #1 with Favred and the Grey Mouser. Very classical characters. This was a very short run series from DC, but I enjoy these kind of, well, obviously, I enjoy the obscure stuff anyway, but I especially like these ones that adapt or are based upon classical characters, and this particular issue is one of those that I just enjoy, and I think I have 2 and 3 as well. But again, first astonishing issue. I like when they tried to sell things back then. First, now they just put a 1 on it and they put a some kind of Jenny Frizen cover and boom, that's it. But here they tried to actually convince you that this is something you should buy. Anyway, you want me to continue, or you guys want to take over for now?
Well, I gotta say that I knew that as soon as I put this topic up, that DS was gonna whip out his Avengers 1 and Roger was gonna whip out his Man Thing. So go ahead. Tell us at least about your Man Thing there, Roger.
Okay.
He's blushing. You can't see it on camera because there's no faces. But
no,
yeah.
Notice I didn't bring out the giant size Man Thing one, which I do have here.
No, you save those for other lives. I know.
Because I knew Bup would not let me get away with that one, right? But once again, this here, Man Thing is an unusual character in many different ways, right? The fact that he doesn't speak, he really doesn't think. So the writer has to really do some kind of writing gymnastics to be able to tell a story with him. But this cover is so detailed. Frank Bruner cover. I mean, the vines, the flora, the actual water here, the swamp, and of course the detail, the little hairs or little, I guess they're weed or something growing out of his back, etc. The striations here, just really, really detailed. I really appreciate when an artist doesn't just put something on there, but really, puts his heart and soul and puts a lot of detail for us to enjoy in a cover. And this one is one that I really just think is striking, even though it's more like just a portrait, just like it's just him, but it's in his environment. It gives you an idea of the sort of muck monster that he is. You got these little welts here, and again you have a little selling point down here. Now in his own magazine, because he was in Adventures into Fear, fear-fraught first issue, lots of alliteration, the kind of stuff that we love. The most startling swamp creature of all, because of course he was competing with Swamp Thing over in DC. So again,
it wasn't startling enough.
Yeah, and I guess not startling enough over there. He was just more like maudlin over there. But anyway, so again, they're trying to sell an issue, but they really put a great artist on the cover. They tried to sell it. They didn't just stick something on there and say, well, buy it because it looks pretty. It's more than that. It's really trying to actually get you to buy the book. Yeah, it's just a regular size Man Thing. That's correct. Just a regular size Man.
One of the things I love about it is how much it looks like an old movie poster or something. It just it's so well framed and looks like he's coming forth through the cover. I just love it.
Yeah, and one thing I agree with everything Roger said, and Frank Bruner, I don't hear enough about him, but he's so freaking awesome. And this cover is fabulous cover. I love this cover. It's so good. And it's just, like you said, Roger, like a portrait, but it's so detailed and it has such a feel to it. And it's such a good, like even the pose he's in, and he's bending the branches back and wading through the water and it's dripping and it's just ominous and cool. Yeah, it's a really, really nicely done work of art.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say, what I really also like about
ominous is a good word.
Is the font. The font of the title, like it's slightly bent. It's simple, but it has a nice effect to it. I don't know. It's nicely done. It's not overpowering. It's not like too crazy, but it's not super standard either. It's got, it's not perfectly squared up, and it looks good on there. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the fact that it's sort of framed and red, but it has all these little imperfections around the edge of it.
That's what I'm saying.
Anyway, Yeah, just like, it would be if you were a monster, you wouldn't be, cutting these straight lines. You would be, just sort of meandering. A lot of little details that really make this really cool. Anyway, well, thanks, guys.
Yeah, loving it. All right. Oh, he's busting out the 30 centers. All right, we got to switch. What do you got there, DS?
Yeah, I had a Man Thing in 9.2, which I cracked and ended up getting it to a 9.4, and then I sold it. But that was my foray into that title thus far. But this is, I don't have a lot of number ones. I think I have like 6. But let me just say, and I want to hear if anybody disagrees with me, this is the best cover of all of the Marvel Silver Age keys, like the big first ones, like ASM 1 and TOS 39 and Hulk 1 is up there, but this for me is the best cover of all of them. This is a fabulous cover. I love it. And no first appearances in here, but a really great book, I think. This is just a nice key, and it's just, I don't know, it's a really good book. And as far as Thor covers go, like, I'm a Thor fan, and I don't have a Jim 83, maybe one day. This is one of the best Thor covers for me. So I like a lot about the cover art on this one. And I think it's a solid book and a solid team. Over the years, they've had a lot of different iterations. But of course, the original, Thor, Hulk, Iron Man, and Ant-Man, the original 4 there. So yeah, this is one of I guess this is probably the biggest number 1 I have out of just a handful. And yeah, best cover of the Marvel Silver Age firsts, the early 60s, in my opinion.
Very cool. Me likey. I don't know. Best of the Silver Age. What do you think, Roger?
I don't know if it's best, but I really like the perspective of this cover where you have the villain only like partially visible, and then you have the confrontation with the actual team there. I really like that. Notice he's to the side, so we see the actual team. And yeah, there's no first appearances, but it's the first time that these particular assemblage. So I think Avengers 4 might be a little bigger key to me, but definitely one that anybody would love to have in their collection.
Yeah, and I knew somebody was going to throw AF-15 out there, so I just let it out
There's
there.
This guy, he's always lurking around the chats trying to pick up a spare 20 spot.
Well, I'll tell you, look, AF-15, I think Avengers 1 is a better cover, and the reason is AF-15 with the grays and the browns is just not as striking. If you were from another planet and you didn't know who Spider-Man was, and you came down and you were just looking at pieces of art, I don't think the AF-15 would have the impact that it does if you had no idea who any of these characters were. It's tough to separate the immensity of that book overall from just the cover. It's a great cover and it's definitely up there, but the browns and the grays, it's a little behind Avengers 1 to me. It was just so bright with the team on there. I don't know. I like it better. And then for me, Hulk 1 is the second best. So Avengers 1 and Hulk 1 are the top 2 of those early Silver Age keys for covers for me. It's Avengers 1 and then Hulk 1. But I do like Journey into Mystery 83 as a Thor fan. But I think overall this cover's better. But if you just want Thor, that's probably the one to go with, obviously. But yeah, I don't know. I think this is the best cover. If you just take the characters out, just forget about who the characters are and what the books mean, and just cover art. I like this one the best.
I like it. It certainly is worthy of.
I won't argue too
debate.
much with that.
Yeah,
definitely. I'm not the biggest AF-15 fan either because of exactly what DS said, but it is framed well, like Brett says. But I don't think, like he said, the color scheme is blah to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's a classic because of what the book means. And then, of course, they've done homages to that cover forever. Oh, and it's a very well-known, iconic cover. But if you take away all the cultural significance of the characters and just look at it as a piece of art, it's good. It's up there. But I think Avengers 1 and Hulk 1 are ahead of it. And then probably AF-15 and Jim 83 are next for me. And then, I don't know, TOS 39 is pretty good. I'm not a big fan of ASM 1's cover, honestly. And I don't know what else you got.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest letdown covers of all of those #1 series is ASM1. I think that one stinks.
I'm not a fan of it. Yeah, I don't know. It's a big book.
He's in that like cylinder outside the building there.
Yeah, it's weird. But if you're able to take like the first 20 or so issues of any run, I think the ASM first 20 has some of the best art of any of them. Collectively, just #1's a little bit of a letdown.
Yeah, my favorite ASM cover is 4 with the 4-panel layout, that bright red, and the Sandman fighting Spider-Man. That 4 panels. I'm not a big fan of the multi-panel covers, but that one is really good.
Listen to this guy. All right, we're done with Steve. Oh man! All
Plus,
right,
you get so much on this cover. You get you get the gold Iron Man, which if you weren't a Thor fan, that's almost the best part of it. A Kirby Hulk crouching down in his still sort of normal size. He's not like, you know what I mean? He's muscular and he's built, but he's got the Frankenstein head. It's still old school Hulk by Kirby. And then, of course, Ant-Man riding the ant on there. And you've got Thor swinging the hammer around with Jim 83 style trails behind it. Yeah, it's cool. It's such a good assortment of villains on there. Of heroes on there, and then Loki with the villain where you can see the side of him. It's so good.
And the uncredited Wasp.
I know she's on there, but she's not listed up here.
I know they could have easily fit her in there.
Yeah, I know.
Oh boy, that wouldn't fly today. It'd be the Wasp plus others today. That's what they do today. All right, that's enough out of DS. All right, we're gonna do rapid fire because I never have any good books to show. There's X-Men #1, the biggest #1 of all time, the most selling #1 of all time, and of course it had multiple variants. But there's one for you, right? And here is, I just like this one, Werewolf by Night #1. I like it because when people think of Werewolf by Night, you kind of have to think of Plug, but the first cover appearance of Werewolf by Night, of course, is done by Neil Adams. So you get this one versus the Neil Adams, and honestly, I think this holds up pretty good. So just a fantastic full werewolf appearance. I'll let you get that one up close.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Look at that.
Yeah, and it's a picture frame, so it really hones in on.
Yeah, I dig that a lot. And then you get into to me, these #1s are funny because they're not their first appearance, and then you have that tagline afterwards, right? In comics. So for first appearances in comics, they're almost always specials or miniseries or the start of a long run, but it'll be everyone's in that first issue, like G.I. Joe 1, right? So it's just they just throw everyone because they don't have to do backstories because everybody already knows, right?
Yeah.
So look at diving in the pool. Yep. Let's see. Hey, Plugart. Hey, look, we appeased Brett Bottomley. We appreciate that. Then I know DS likes this one. Who doesn't?
Oh, yeah.
Some of my favorite first issues will have the first appearance as well. I think that is special to have a first appearance / first issue. I just like that. I like it when it all, and first cover appearance. You get all three of those things: a #1, a cover appearance, and first appearance overall. That gets my vote for the best #1 issues, the best first issues.
Yeah.
What you guys think?
Yeah, agreed. Like She-Hulk, Savage She-Hulk #1 would be in that vein. Nova #1, things like that. Yep.
Me like it. All right, that's enough me showing off a couple old crappy books. Let's get back over to Roger, see what the Eternals are doing for only 30 cents.
Yeah, I'll show up some more crappy books here. But first I wanted to talk about actually the Charlton here. This is a number, this sort of fits your parameters, Bub. It's Ghost Manor, which is not the title, but it does feature Mr. Bones here. This is the first appearance, Mr. Bones, and it is a #1. This was sent to me by Unruly Simeon in an AOK several years ago. He knows I was a big fan of Charlton and of the horror mystery titles. This is really cool, and not a comic you see very often, because Charltons were, third or fourth or fifth rung on the comic ladder, if you want to say that. Maybe Archie's were above it, and maybe even Gold Keys. But I really just enjoy these Charlton Bronze Age #1s. They're very different. They're not like the highest quality art or story, but certainly they are better than their reputation. At least maybe now it's getting better, but previously, you couldn't give away Charltons. We had them in the comic shop. We must have had hundreds in the cheap bins, and they never moved. But anyway, so I really do enjoy these now. Mr. Bones with
Absolutely.
all the
and to find one that's still together, because the paper quality was so poor. I mean, to get one that's in good shape, it's tough.
And this one there's no tanning. Yeah. Charlton's
were early Mike Zeck stuff. You get some Tom Sutton art and Charlton stuff.
Yep.
There's really good. It's pretty quality stuff, but yeah, I still feel like nobody really ever appreciates them or even looks into them. They're cool.
Yeah. Although let me tell you, DS, that they're not going that cheap anymore. I used to buy like these cheap lots, of them.
Yep.
And those days are gone, bygone. People are waking up to them because I think, because of what we're saying, they're much harder to find than DCs or Marvels of the same era. And people are waking up that these are maybe not the highest quality comics, but certainly better than their reputation. Okay. All right, so let's talk about Eternals #1 here. Really, this is Jack Kirby bringing the new gods to Marvel, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's some discussion or some controversy that Kirby would do that with, like, DS, about the Challengers of the Unknown, and that was replicated perhaps in the Fantastic Four, or at least lots of the concepts were, etc. I could have other examples, but this now, obviously, with the movie coming out, there's no New Gods movie, there's an Eternals movie, has really taken off at some point. And this is the 30-cent variant for #1, which
it is
now maybe what?
Yes, it is.
Oh, yes, it is. Yeah, correct. Now it may be a big deal, right? But I've had about 7 or 8 of these. These are the easiest 30-cent variants to find. I've upgraded this 7 or 8 times, and I don't think I paid more than $5 for any of them. So they were just that easy to find, 20 years ago. Now,
what do you think of the cover on Eternals 1?
What do I think of it? Middling. I'd say it's middling. You really don't have any Eternals on there, in costume or in their, in their garb. You have this big, statue here, or essentially, or figurehead, whatever it is. And then you have these people, saying, "Oh, we found the tomb of the space gods," but you don't actually see the characters on the cover, which Bub was saying, that's something you want to look for. And we really don't have that here.
Yeah.
So here is this is a #1, but what's missing here?
The #1.
The #1, correct. This is an error variant of Marvel Spotlight 1. This actually continued the story arc in Captain Marvel when it was canceled in 1978 or 79. I forgot which one. And so they wanted to finish off the story arc, so they for whatever reason they didn't want to continue a title. They continued it here. Here is the regular #1 here. But I found this one like a couple years ago, like for $1 in one of those dollar bins, and I said, "Yeah, that's really cool. There's no number there." So I guess it just fell off at some point when they were doing the production of it. But other than that, there's nothing really special about this. It's not like there's no first appearances or anything like that.
Yeah.
Now these are comics that I've really been into lately. When I say lately, the past 2 years. Marvel, as you know, they did supernatural thrillers. They did Chamber of Chills, Journey into Mystery. They did Beware, things like that, right? But
Yeah.
the Chamber of Chills and Journey into Mystery actually had original adaptations of stories, like from Robert E. Howard, from Block, from all kinds of different writers. And a lot of people think these were all reprints, but the first 7 issues, I believe, of Chamber of Chills and the first 5 of Journey to Mystery are all original stories, or mostly original stories. So I've been picking these up. People thinking they're reprints, I picked them up for cheap, and they're really, you got Bruner art in there. You got sometimes you have Romita in there. Some really good art on some very different types of characters than you would normally see. So if you see these, first 7 of these, pick them up because they are original stories. They are not reprints. So,
as opposed to like Where Monsters Dwell, wasn't that a full reprint run?
Those were all reprints. That's correct. Where Monsters Dwell, okay. And yeah, correct. There again, and the thing is that Marvel didn't advertise these as new necessarily. Now here, you do see here it says, A Tale of Fear by Harlan Ellison, an epic hate that engulfed 2 worlds. So you sort of can infer that this is an adaptation, but they didn't advertise it. So if you picked up Beware and Where Monsters Dwell and you saw this, you're like, oh, this is another monster reprint, but it's not. And it has this really cool Gil Kane cover too, by the way.
Very cool.
Anyway. One more, and then I'll let you guys handle it. So this is, this is what Bub does when he can't find the comics that he wants. He just says, "Arg!"
Oh, I thought I grabbed a blonde-haired woman and carried her out of her room. I got confused.
I think I've seen him do both at a convention before, actually, on the same day.
Really?
It was a Saturday.
I believe
him do both.
True stories.
The only thing is,
this is
him taking through the dumpster and pulling out broken slabs.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's legendary stuff. Yeah, that's right up there with you and Walmart and the change. So
yeah,
those are 2 actually true rumors.
Sure.
Anyway, this was a part. I bought this one off the stand. I remember because I wasn't allowed to get like the real hardcore horror stuff because my parents would, veto it. But, obviously this is all funny stuff. Every kind of trope, every time a thing that can go wrong. There's a bus about to run him over. There's a guy with a seeing eye dog who's taking his wallet. This policeman just happens to be on patrol with a machine gun. This guy coming out of a manhole. There's a banana he's slipping on. It's just wacky and as bizarre as can be. And look at this sign here. No parking, no standing, and no reading signs. Well, you just broke the law, Yeah. Anyway, so again, one of those number ones that is, it's just a fun comic, and there's no literary, highbrow stuff. This is all just fun comics, which I love.
I like it. Nothing like the old banana in the manhole. All right, Diaz, I think it's your turn. What do you got, brother?
Yeah, well, I was going to show you.
Last round.
Since the topic came up, I have a new OCD hobby. I roll all the change that I find now.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah,
well done.
Just an example of a hand-rolled DS thing of quarters. So yeah, I've rolled my own change. It's a nice little OCD meditative behavior.
I like it.
Yeah. So, and this book actually led to our first lifetime ban on this show. Man Cave is out.
He's out.
He says the most overrated cover. He's out. But no, so this was a 2-issue series from 1945, and this is probably the #1 LB Cole cover of all time. If you did like a poll of everyone, this would probably come out on #1. Yeah, I don't have a #2, but I got the #1, and such a funky cover. I mean, 1945, there's nothing else like this on comic books. Even now, there's nothing like it. Starting to get its due as one of the great Golden Age works of art, and very happy to have gotten this from a community member. And it's one of the jewels of my collection. And it's Mask #1, of course. I even like the, it's got that little chip missing, but it doesn't go so far as to take off L.D. Cole's signature, which is good.
Yeah.
And I like how it says evil on the candlestick holder here. Yeah, cool. So let me just run through, since this is the last round. I only have a couple books. Here's one Man Cave will like. Foxhole #1, 4/5. Pretty high grade for this book. This is a Kirby cover, which is a swipe of a painting by, I think, Joseph Hirsch, who did a painting in 1943 or something, which graced the pages of a book about battlefield nurses and medical personnel. And it was like a tribute to them. And inside that, one of the pages had a painting by Joseph Hirsch that was this, basically. It's not based on a photo. It's based on a painting by Joseph Hirsch.
That's the best pre-Code War cover, in my opinion.
Yeah, as far as like Atom Age War, there's World War II stuff and then the Atom Age stuff, and I feel like they're two separate categories. But for Atom Age, that's #1 on the list, in my opinion. Yeah. Planet Comics #1. I gotta bring these out for Bub.
What do you think this whole topic was for? What took you so long?
Well, I mean, it's only my 4th book, so I don't have many, Bub. But there you go. Planet Comics 1, Dave Stevens cover. 9.8. I think there's only like 40 of these in 9.8. I don't really think there's a very high distribution, but you can find raws of this. But yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with Dave Stevens stuff. And then, of course, to go along with the Planet Comics #1 from 1988.
Well, here comes the killer.
Planet Comics from 1940, 48 years earlier. This actually is from January 40, so this hit the newsstands in 1939. Lou Fine cover. This, as far as Golden Age sci-fi, I think this is top of the list. This is a really great cover by one of the greatest Golden Age artists, a very early Golden Age, a 1939 newsstand, 1940 date, and the first issue of the sci-fi title from the Golden Age. This is what started it all. And
oh yeah, no doubt about that.
Yeah, I picked this up a couple of years ago in an auction, and I felt like I got a really good deal on it. I don't even know what it's worth now, but a very, very tough book to get. And yeah, this along with the Mask 1 are a couple books in my PC that are like the last ones I'll ever sell. And then the last #1 I have, this is my entire collection of #1s. You've seen everything. Here's the last one.
Oh, nice.
#1. Yeah, look, I'm a huge fan of Swamp Thing. And a huge fan of Bernie Wrightson, and I really love the House of Secrets 92, and then Swamp Thing 1 through 10. I actually have that in reprints up to like issue 13, which is next 3. The last 3 there are not Wrightson, but yeah, I have to own a copy of this. I would upgrade at some point, but every time I feel like doing it, I'm like, I really like that 8.0 I have. I was buying raw copies of this and then sending them in. And this one I just really liked, and I sent it in. It came back a little lower than I thought, but I just like this copy, so I kept it. It's nicely wrapped, and it's pretty well centered. And yeah, it's a cool #1 issue to own. It's not really that expensive. I mean, you can get nice copies of this for a couple $100. I feel like it's still a pretty good deal for such a important work, honestly.
I'm forced to agree with you. I mean, no one is really forcing me, but I do agree with you.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah. But this one's tough to find with a good wrap and good centering, and most of the circles are there. And I mean, it's a great cover. It's the first issue. Wrightson. I mean, you can't go wrong with it. 1972.
Very cool. All right. I guess technically I'm next, right?
Yeah.
All right, but we're gonna let Roger have a bonus round then.
And every other way.
Yeah. He didn't know. What?
Go. You're next. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Fine. Oh my gosh. All right, we'll go fast. She-Hulk #1 because Roger mentioned it, and only because Roger mentioned it. No, I love She-Hulk #1. I think that's
I
a
know
great
you do.
one and a nice homage
That is
to the first Hulk.
Hulk
So
one, yeah.
can't beat that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you could try. Silver Surfer #1. I think that
nice.
warrants. I love that Silver Surfer cover. That's good stuff. And it's got the origin at least. Most of your first appearances, most of your first runs will have origins as well. And in some cases they wait, pretty far into, you get it in the first issue, but a lot of other ones when they have their own series, you'll have to wait on that. So it's nice that one's there. Let's see.
Yeah, and as far as Silver Surfer covers go, I think Silver Surfer 4 is the best Surfer cover. And then I like Fantastic Four 72, and then this. Those are like the top 3 Surfer covers, I think.
Yeah, hard to beat
it.
that Surfer 4. Yeah.
It's a good one. And then last but not least, you knew it was going to happen. Daredevil 1 pops out as several first appearances. And what I like about this one is the cover's pretty terrible. I mean, yeah. Roger might disagree. What do you think? Is this one of your favorites, Roger?
No, I'm not crazy about it at all. No,
it's pretty rough, isn't it?
No. Yeah.
Yeah,
there's nothing really outstanding about it.
Yeah, it's a rough one.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't so rough, it'd be better. But other than that, it's so bad they had to use the old Spidey trick to get someone to enjoy it.
Yeah.
To try. Remember when we introduced Spider-Man, this is going to be just as good. Yeah, it's pretty rough. But it's a #1. It's a true first appearance in #1 and cover appearance. So for that, we thank you. Yep. All right.
And that's also the Bub. That's also the Bub Reclamation Project. Remember?
Oh yeah, with the old the
old Strange Tales back cover. And...
Yeah, it's we won't talk about that. All right. Let's see. What do we got next? Roger, since he was skirted out of he gets the old bonus round. All right, go for it.
I'll go quick. I'll go quick on this one. Marvel Spotlight #1, not a first appearance of Red Wolf. But it's still, I think it's a really great cover. And of course we get the Neil Adams hat here. Whenever he draws a Western guy, I always see the same hat for whatever reason. I don't know if everybody's noticed that, but these kind of ovals. But really, really cool cover. Him coming out from this looks like a mine. He's coming out from the shadows and attacking these. I'm assuming these ne'er-do-wells. Here's a reintroduction of Blue Beetle and the Question and Charlton Bullseye #1. Ditko goodness there over here. Look at that metal shark DS. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's cool. I've never seen that one, and that is a very cool cover.
I like it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Tough to find in good condition, and this is probably like a 9.0, believe it or not. For me, that's weird. Now this one, I won this in a contest from Dazzy some time back. So I have very few moderns, but I enjoyed this. It's essentially a story about a rabbit who gets stabbed by a magical dagger or something, and then becomes the protector of a girl. It's really bizarre stuff. Really bizarre stuff.
My goodness.
Stabbity Bunny #1. So, it's amazing how they can take something so innocuous and innocent as somebody's, stuffed bunny and make him or her or it somewhat supernatural or violent or whatever. Not my cup of tea necessarily, but still, I find it interesting that something like this exists, right? Of course, I was going to pull one of these out, Bub. First appearance of Captain Marvel, yes. Not the Fawcett Captain Marvel, which is now called Shazam, and not Marvel, but the Captain Marvel that splits his limbs away. This is from MF Enterprises. Apparently,
that's what I'd say about it.
Yeah.
The aptly named publisher.
Myron Fast. Okay. Apparently, Fawcett had discontinued for quite a few years the original Captain Marvel, and Marvel had not started their Captain Marvel. So these guys, I think, just sort of got the whiff. Hey, we can pick up our own Captain Marvel. And of course, not only did they put Plastic Captain Marvel, but also Plastic Man down here. So this whole series is just a bunch of rip-offs and knockoffs, and thinly veiled previous characters. But I love it. I love it.
I like it's a giant action issue.
Yeah, giant action. Of course, we got like some nice robots back here. DS for you, right there. Yeah.
I love a good robot.
Electrical like torture device here or something. I don't know what it is. It's bizarre. It's got all the stuff I like. It's obscure. It's got sci-fi elements. It's got wacky, corny stuff in it. Yeah, it's a Metarog comic. And this is another one of those, really kind of bizarre kind of knockoffs. Fast Willie Jackson, obviously it's an Archie knockoff, but with African-American main characters by Fitzgerald, which actually produced another African-American documentary series called The Golden Legacy. These things are tough to find. I got the whole set out of, before the internet, but these are tough to find. And they're just wacky, over the top kind of Archie comics. The characters, just get in these insane situations. That's just the way it is. Look at these. Look at those bell bottoms. We got the pumps here.
Man, that whole cover looks like a gumball machine.
Yeah, that's a pretty good observation. It's kind of looks like that.
I'll tell you, I would love, if I find one of those, I will definitely thumb through it and read it, because I bet you they have good 70s like jive lingo in there too, man. That's got to be good.
Oh, yeah. And how.
Yeah.
And how. Yes. And I believe it was written by African Americans too, so it's fairly authentic, I'm assuming, But yeah, this is wacky stuff that I just got to have in my collection. I just had to have it.
Yeah,
most people want to have like
on that cover. I think Samuel L. Jackson's on there.
He would have been like a teenager at this point here. But anyway, this is real quick. Unknown World of Science Fiction. Like I said, I'm a big science fiction fan. I know DS is as well, and I know Bub is too, actually. But
yep,
this cover is based on that movie Day of the Triffids, which maybe I'm one of the few people who actually like it. But the important thing here, this is a John Romita and Kelly Freas cover, and this is, as far as I know, the only Kelly Freas cover done for Marvel.
Wow, I didn't know she even did any.
It's a guy, but he did.
That's why I said you heard wrong.
He did. He was very well known for pulps and some magazines, and he did a very few like comic related things.
I've got 2 Kelly Freas covers.
Yeah,
He
also did a lot of stuff for Mad magazine. He did a lot of stuff.
That's got to be towards the end of his career too. Isn't that like a late 60s Curtis or something, or 70s Curtis?
I believe this is from 73, 74, or somewhere in there. Yeah. And the last 2, Deadly Hands of Kung Fu #1 with another Neil Adams cover. Love this, the flying kick here and the recoil on this guy here with the diapers. Love it. Just love Neil Adams here. I picked this up in like a quarter bin, guys, way back when. Nobody wanted these back when. Now I think this goes for some pretty good money, so I'm glad I got it when I did. And lastly, and of course Bub knows this one, Legion of Monsters, another Adams cover. Kind of a tough to find magazine, at least it was, way back when, with, of course, the first appearance of the Manphibian.
Everyone's favorite.
Ooh, I know. Everybody in the chat's going, ooh,
Manphibian. How do you pull that one out?
They're second raters. Manphibian. Yeah. And that's it, guys. That's all I got.
Yeah, first appearance of the Legion of Monsters, and then the first comic one I think is what Marvel Premiere 23 or something like that.
I don't think they appear together, though. I think there's separate stories in here, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I had that in a 9.4. I had that in a 9.4, and I had the comic one in like an 8.5, and I sold them as a set a while back.
Oh boy,
I felt like I should sell them together, and I did.
Nice.
Yeah, that sci-fi, that was awesome. I just watched a good sci-fi movie. If anybody's into old sci-fi, check out Angry Red Planet. Really, really good old sci-fi movie.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Really good movie. Yeah, love it. Yeah.
Yeah, for
really
some reason I watch those all the time, and I have been for decades, and I had never seen that one. I couldn't believe it. So, and I knew it was out there. I just, I've got to watch this. I've never seen this one. So I watched it the other day, and it lived up to its reputation as one of the quality old sci-fi films. I really liked it, especially the red tint on the red filter and everything when they get to Mars.
Yeah.
It's really, it was a cool one.
Yeah, it is good. Yeah, I haven't seen that in a long time, but yeah, that's good. Really good one. Yeah, I remember it. I remember some of it. So, meh. The Mamphibian story you read the Mamphibian story in the trade. Ooh, you probably were the only one who bought that trade.
Yeah, got it a fair price. That's all.
Oh man. Oh boy.
Oh, funny. All right, guys. Well, we've done it again. We've talked and we've shaken our hands at the camera, and everyone said, thanks. We'll see you next week. Good stuff. Thanks for being on. I love these first appearances. Love these first issues. Nothing but good stuff. We're loving it all. Let's see. Let's go around the horn. DS, you got anything coming up on your fine channel?
No, I'm still planning to get something started. I just haven't yet. But yeah, I really want to appreciate the 10 to 15 people that were here, because I think we're competing against the female edition of Comigories tonight. So
are we?
I think so. So that's got to be a bigger hit than this show. But some people stopped by here, and we really appreciate it. But yeah, fun as always. I don't have anything coming up on my own channel. I've got beginning of the year, I'm going to try to figure out my comic situation here going forward for this year. And then, some point this year, I'm going to start doing some stuff on my channel again, but I just haven't yet.
Sounds good. All right. Roger, what do you got coming up?
And we're also up against the national championship game on TV. So that's maybe another thing if people into college football.
Oh, college football? Okay.
Football, yeah. College football. Well, I just filmed a little contest entry for Simple Simon, and in that I also did a tag video that Russ asked us to do about why I collect. I think it's one of those things where I'm supporting a great community member, and I'm also trying to explain or trying to give back what Russ is in his video when he shared, and he told us about the travails of his collecting career, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to have a comic community links video on Thursday, which is going to be a short, so it's less than a minute. I'm just going to put the links on there in the channels so you can go support them, enter the contests. And I think we're going to have a graders notes on Thursday on Comic Head 84's channel. So that's what I'm up to this week.
Oh, it's a lot. That's a busy man for you. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I got nothing coming on. I'm shutting the channel down. No, I won't do that. No, not without a big fond farewell and a plan to return a week later. That's what we need to do.
You're just like modern comics. You can cancel and then you
exactly. Yeah, that's it. The final issue until next week. I've got lots of comics stacking up to film and show off. Just the usual comics, vinyls, toys, statue, you name it, we're doing it. And buying books and holding on to them and doing a little something different this year, buying books with the intent to resell a little bit. So we'll see how that goes this year, as opposed to just selling what ends up in my collection. So we'll see how it goes. All right. Well, that's it for tonight. DS, what do you want to tell the fine folks at home?
Make sure you do your homework and don't rely on GPA.
That's right. Plus, it costs money. Let's see. Roger, what do you want to tell everybody?
thanks for coming by. I know it's a new year. Hopefully, this will be the best year we have so far. You know, as here in the No Faces chat, we've had some great years, but hopefully this year will be even better. Hopefully, DS will be able to free up a little time so he can join us more often, because I always enjoy when DS is on here with us. Not because he's my friend, just because I think he's just one of the best and most knowledgeable out there. But anyway, besides that, everybody be blessed, be back, and be kind to each other. Bye.
Like it. And I'll just remind everybody to read a comic. We'll see you next week on the No Faces Comic Chat. And don't apologize for the glare. Bye-bye.